Warm welcome to my channel. My name is Satwan Singh Mahajan, Director, Elite Studios, Nairobi, Kenya. We are in the age of COVID-19 virus pandemic. Is it going to stay here or is it going to go away? Only God knows. Experts in that field are doing their utmost to contain the situation. Let's leave them to carry on with their work. We out here should carry on with our work, which is to enjoy and learn more about photography. Today, everything is online. Students are doing their tuitions online, sitting exams online. Why don't we learn about this online as well? This training is purely designed for people who have just acquired their first entry-level camera, those who have passion for photography. It's certainly not meant for the professionals. I have always been fond of young people who want to learn. I have 50 years of experience and knowledge. I want to part this knowledge to them. They are our future ambassadors. Parents who are watching this program, please encourage your children to take active part in this. It will take them a long way to learn photojournalism. This training will be divided into 3 portions: basic, intermediate and advanced. This is going to take several weeks, but today we are going to start with introduction to photography. This is digital age, but before we understand digital photography, I think it's important for us to understand a little bit about analog. These are various models of 35mm camera. We have 3 models of Minolta, and then we have Yashica. These are 35mm cameras. At that time, we used to use films as opposed to sensor. This is the back of the camera. The film used to go here, and then you roll it up onto that, and then you wind it on, and you take a picture. Now all this has been replaced by sensor on the digital camera. I'll tell you about my journey into photography. It was a very difficult one. I was thrown into the deep end and I had to swim my way out. There were no computers, no online tutorials, and I had to depend on my book of instructions for various cameras and learn the hard way. Now, what is photography? Photography is not a science, it's an art. That reminds me of my school days. I'll give you a little story here of my school days. Way back 60 years ago, I had an art teacher. He kept on emphasizing, you can only express your feelings through paintbrushes, colors, drawings, etc. I was a student, absolutely naive, had to accept whatever he said. Today, I beg to differ. You can, and I say with full confidence and loudly, can express your feelings and emotions through your camera. You can achieve this with little imagination and eye for composition. I will show you how to do this later on in my presentation. Photography is an art that requires passion, commitment, and flair for capturing moments as they unfold. You can achieve this if you have the right equipment, knowledge which you're going to gain, so that you can beautifully express your feelings and emotions through your camera and become a creative photographer. I know lots of people out there They have sophisticated cameras, they do understand certain controls, but have not fully understood the finer details of their digital camera. These cameras have got quite a lot to offer, and it's very important for you to know each and every bit about your camera. Only then you will be able to make the full use of it. So that's why today I want to emphasize a lot about the various controls, and I want you to fully understand them. Digital cameras, as opposed to analog, have so many facilities to offer. Most of the people do not use them to the full extent. They take a picture and immediately go to the Lightroom software to do various amendments. Had they understood the controls in the first place, they need not do that and waste all their time. I'm not against the use of Lightroom facility, but your camera can do quite a lot that you don't need to use the Lightroom facility and spend a lot of time there. When you purchase a camera, the first thing that you need to do after having inserted the battery and everything is to work on the setup menu. The setup menu shows the time, zone and date, the language that you want to use, auto image rotation, video mode and setup menu. Similarly, you will have other different menus which you need to set when you have purchased the camera. This is again very simple. I think you have already probably done that. So I will not go into too much of details there. Let's look at the various controls on your camera. Now this is a Nikon camera because I use Nikon all the time. But for the purpose of this training, it doesn't really matter what camera you have, as long as it's a digital single lens reflex camera. The top of the camera looks like this. We have the shutter button off and on. Then you have this dial here which has got the various programs. You can have A stands for aperture, which is aperture priority, S is shutter, program is automatic, and then it's got the other scenes which we can change to get different effects. This is your accessory cube where you mount your flash, although most of the cameras have got built-in flash. At the back you can see the various information. This is the information button, and this is the menu button. There you can see that by adjusting the command dial you can change your ISO, aperture and shutter speed according to what you want. This image here shows the lens mounting button here. This is the release button. I'll demonstrate this to you on the camera itself. We have here a Nikon D5600. I've talked about the various dials. We were just on talking about the mounting button. This is the white button here on the lens, and this is the white button on the body. So what you do is you put those two together and turn it anti-clockwise till it clicks. Now this might seem very elementary, but believe you me, I have seen lots of people who make mistakes on this. This here is the release button. You press this, turn it, and then you can take the lens out. When you want to put the lens onto the table, you always do it this way and not this way. The reason being that if you do that, you are likely to damage the CPU contacts, These contacts are very important because they are the ones that convey the message to the brain of the camera. So please respect it. So be very careful about this. This is the delete button. This is a great feature about a digital camera. You can take thousands of pictures and delete whatever you don't want and save what you want. During analog days, we used to expose the whole of 35mm film and then send it for developing, wait for a few days before we could see which picture you want and which you don't want. Now that exercise itself used to cost a lot of money and time.
Action.
Now I want to show you some old pictures taken with analog cameras. These are great historical pictures. This is the picture of Elite Studios in the 1950s. This is where we started. Let's have a look at another image. The gentleman behind the counter is demonstrating a 35mm camera. In the background you can see lots of 35mm cameras. This gentleman here is arranging all those films. Now you can see there were so many different types of films there, and the photographers had to carry so many films in their gadget bag. All that has been replaced by sensor on your digital camera. Can you imagine back those days the photographer had to carry 8mm camera, 35mm camera, 120 camera, and maybe a 5x4 plate camera. All that has now been replaced by digital cameras, all in one. This is now the black and white days. The gentleman here in the foreground has got a dust enlarger. He's put a negative in the negative carrier up there, and he's got an easel mask where he's going to compose the picture. The gentleman at the back has got a 35mm negative and he's scanning, and then later he will do retouching with little brush. Something that we don't use this anymore because we have the Lightroom facilities. Finally, thank you so much for listening. Below this video, I have provided the links to the exercise files which you can download and use them as you practice. I'll be happy to hear from you, see what you have done. If you like to share your work with me, I have also provided my email address below the link. You can send me your images directly to that email address. Thank you.